some fun facts about me. I am from the United States. I am from Illinois specifically, and I studied elementary education in the U.S., and I became a certified teacher in the U.S. I have taught EFL English in Korea for 8 years as a teacher. So my father is a teacher, and my mother is a teacher, and my sisters are teachers, and I studied to be a teacher, and I became a teacher. So today I am talking to you from eFuture, but specifically from teacher to teacher. So I really enjoyed all of the pictures, and even though I couldn't understand a lot of what Isabella was talking about, her pictures and her tips and just the activities I saw that she did with her students was really inspiring. And I could tell, even though I couldn't understand, I could tell that she was speaking from the heart of a teacher, from the insight of a teacher. And so today, that's exactly what I'm going to do as well. I'm going to share my, oops, I think I lost it again. Thanks for your patience. That's the wrong one again. So yes, my point is that I'm going to be sharing my life as a teacher and some insights that I have from a teacher's perspective. So from teachers to teachers. So yes, I have taught EFL in Korea for 8 years, and I've taught from kindergarten all the way to 6th grade. And I have been at eFuture for 4 months, and I have learned so many things in the 4 months. It's been a really fast crash course. And so today I'm excited to talk with you guys about eFuture curriculum and how it really is made for teachers. So eFuture was started from teachers. Our CEO and all of the head department leaders, they have all been teachers. So all of our material is made with the teacher in mind, because we know and we understand that education comes from teachers and starts with teachers. Yeah, so that's one thing I love about eFuture, is that it is literally made from the mind and the heart of teachers. So does anyone have any questions before I keep moving on? I'm gonna check the chat. Is everyone okay? Can you see and hear my screen all right? I hope that you're able to see. Yes, great. Thank you so much. Okay, it's hard for me to know what you guys are able to see. So I hope that you can see what I'm trying to show. Okay, so let's keep going. Thank you for your patience. You guys know how it is. Working with PowerPoint and things like that is very complicated. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right, so the next slide. Oh, I think I'm still on the same slide. So what I want to tell you next, I don't know if you can see it. There seems to be some sort of issue on my part. Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay. Okay. Is everything okay? Can you see now? Technology is very difficult sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead. So I told you about me a little bit for too long. Now I'm going to move on to the next part. Okay, so more fun facts. I wanted to tell you guys that I am actually 1/4 Polish. My grandfather is from Poland, or his family is from Poland. He's not from Poland. So my mother's maiden name is Pasco. I don't know if that's Polish. And his name is Alexander. So I really cherish and I really am proud of that little bit of Polish that I am. And I went to Wrocław and I went to a castle in, I don't know how to say it, Lubiac, maybe? I went to an arts festival, Slot Arts Festival, in Poland. And one thing that stood out to me in Poland was the kindness and the love that people showed us. So at this arts festival, we stayed in like tents, but there was this very kind older woman and she opened her house to us and we ended up staying in her house and we didn't stay in the tent. So my impression and my love for Poland only grew after visiting the arts festival. So I am very happy to meet you guys and I hope one day I can go back and see Poland as well. But yeah, anyway, I have a lot of love for teachers and a lot of love for Poland. So I guess I must really love you guys. Okay, so today, our contents, we are going to talk about overcoming common challenges with students and in teaching, understanding needs and adapting the teaching methods, effective techniques to make grammar fun, and then we're going to talk about how eFuture's grammar curriculum can make all of this easy for you, teacher. So, we first, overcoming common challenges. So, when you hear the word grammar, what word do you think of? So, you can see now? Oh, great. I'm not used to this platform. So So when you think of the word grammar, what word do you think of? Do you think fun, exciting? Difficult. Yeah, I do too. I think it's difficult as well sometimes. Is there anything else? Can I get some more people chatting? When you think of grammar, what do you think of? What do you think your students think? Now, let's go back. So, many people say frustrating or confusing, difficult. You said difficult, boring. So, oh no, but that's very common. Most people think that grammar are these things. So today we're going to talk about overcoming these common challenges. Grammar is really important for all students, but is it fun? And it can be fun. For the really young learners, it should be fun. It has to be fun. So for me, I think motivating them and making them interested are some of the toughest things about grammar, because even the word grammar, it sounds difficult. Students are stressed. Students are not interested. So I think motivation is the toughest part. So it's our job to make them motivated and interested and excited about the class. So I'm going to show you two different methods, and I want you to tell me which method is more interesting to you. So first of all, method number one, we have do it alone. They're writing in the book alone. Method number two, they're working together. Method number one, they only use the book. Method number two, they play games, they play activities. Method number one, they repeat. They do it again and again and again. Method number two, they are recycling. So I remember this from lesson one. They're doing new things, but they are also recycling and remembering, oh, we did this before. We did this before. Method number one, memorizing. Okay, don't forget, don't forget. Method number two, they're talking to each other. They're mingling. They're making friends. Method number one, it's very mechanical. They have to learn the definitions. It says here really small, it's have is the root verb and is generally alongside. Students aren't going to remember the long, detailed definition. Or method number 2, meaningful. Wow, look at the pictures. I like this. Method number 1, the teacher is talking. Method number 2, the students are speaking often. So I want to ask you, which method do you think is more interesting to the students? Is it number 1 or is it number 2? Great. Yeah, I already see a number 2. Yeah, 2. Okay. So you are right. It's number 2. Congratulations. So it is important not to force memorization. If you're saying, okay, remember this definition and do a test on this, it's important for them to link, review, and recycle. And what I mean by that is a lot of other books, they give, so book number 1, new information. Book number 2, new information. Book number 3, new information. But with eFuture books, all eFuture books, but specifically these 2 books, My First Grammar and My Next Grammar, that we are talking about today, we have book number 1. So this is My First Grammar. Book number 1, there's new material. And then they review throughout the book, they review everything they learned in chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, or not chapter, unit, sorry. So they are reviewing everything they learned in past units and past lessons. And then they start book number 2, and they review book number 2, and they're reviewing book number 1. And then they start book number 3, they review book number 3, and they do a review of book number 1 and book number 2. So throughout the entire series, it is showing new information, but it's reviewing and showing new information and reviewing. So we call this a spiral syllabus because they're constantly interlinking with each other and going through each other. And the students are never forgetting the information, not because they memorize, but because it's shown again and again so many times throughout the book. So at the bottom of the My First Grammar, specifically, you're going to see boxes that look like this. And you can see the boxes say, oh, question 1 was actually learned in lesson 10. And question 3 was learned in lesson 6. And question 6 was learned in lesson 7. And you can see there is a link and review section. It says link and review. And you can see the lessons right here. So this is where the students learned it, and they are reviewing it again in the same book. So that's an important feature that these books have. Also, you can see here, this is the spiral syllabus of My First Grammar. There's one for My Next Grammar as well. But today I'm going to show a lot of My First Grammar because there's a lot of material to cover. And I don't know how Isabella did it. She covered so many phonics series in 50 minutes. I think that was just amazing how she did that. Because even covering 2 series, there's so much to share. So today I'm going to focus specifically a lot on My First Grammar. But the same things apply to My Next Grammar. So with My First Grammar, you can see in book 1, they focus on nouns and pronouns. And then in book 2, oh, there's nouns again. And then in book 3, oh, there's more nouns and pronouns. But each time, it's extended. They're learning more. It's expanded. So this is just an example of how the book naturally introduces the same targets again and again to the students. Oh, yeah. Okay. We always say link and review and recycle and expand. So next, we're going to talk about understanding students' needs and adapting our teaching methods to that. Before I move on, does anyone have any questions or anything? Is everyone doing all right? Can you see my screen? Someone is typing yes. Okay, great. I'm not quite sure what you guys can see, so I'm just hoping for the best. Okay, so first we're going to talk about student diversity. So you guys already know students come with many different levels, their grammatical understanding, their learning styles, even their country, where they're from, their countries, their country's way of speaking, or for example, their home environment. There are so many things that go into a student's learning. So every single student, even if they're from the same country, from the same class, from the same town, every student is going to be different. And you guys know this already. But I want to talk about the difference between ESL and EFL. I don't know if you guys, maybe you might know this already, but I learned this. I had no idea what this was in university. And then I came to Korea and I learned about EFL, and I was so shocked that even though I studied education, I was never specifically taught this. ESL is English second language. EFL is English foreign language. And for example, we have two Polish students. I put Alexander for my grandfather because his name is Alexander. And my friend that I met at the arts festival, her name was Alexandra, so I have both. So these are our sweet little Polish students. And so ESL is like this. So Alexander is studying English, but he is studying in America. And Alexandra, she's studying English, but she is studying in Poland. And it's very different because Alexander is hearing it at the restaurant, he's hearing it at the grocery store, he's hearing English all the time. So his learning is completely different than Alexandra's learning. She only learns in the classroom. She might hear it occasionally when she goes outside, but for the most part, it's not the language she hears at the restaurant and the grocery store. And it's the same in Korea. My students have always been EFL. So student diversity is something that eFuture really understands and that eFuture focuses on. We focus on the EFL students, the students that don't hear it every day. And that's why the eFuture perspective, that's why it's really important, because we have created so many videos and so many game ideas and so many different things because it's created from teachers in Korea who have specialized in EFL students, not ESL students. So I think understanding your students' learning style as well as where they're from and their home life plays a big part in understanding their needs. Also, common barriers. Of course, what students in Korea think might be difficult might not be difficult for students in Poland because of their very own native grammatical structure of their language. So, for example, in Korea, the language is completely swapped. So, for example, what I say at the beginning of the sentence is used at the end of the sentence in Korea. So the sentence is completely backwards. So things that might be difficult to students in Korea might not be difficult to students in Poland, and vice versa. So I think it's very important to understand some struggles that students have because of the language that they're used to, because of the way that they grew up or the way that they speak in their hometown. So I think there are common barriers for EFL students as a whole, but then there are also common barriers depending on where they are from. And personalizing is really the best way to help in these situations. Focusing on the speed and different things, depending on what your students need. It's important to be perceptive. And that's Probably something that you guys already know, but just a reminder. Yeah, so eFuture's grammar curriculum. This is our curriculum here. We have My First Grammar starting at grade 1, and it moves up into My Next Grammar grade 6. So, based off of the Cambridge YLE word list, it starts at pre-A1 or starters, moves up to A2 or flyers. Yeah, so like I said, today I'm going to be talking a lot about My First Grammar, but everything I say also applies to My Next Grammar. You're going to notice that in My First Grammar there are a lot more pictures and things like that. My Next Grammar there are a lot more sentences, but that doesn't mean that it's not meant to be fun. It can still be fun. Games can still be done. Older kids like games as well. So, yes. Before I move on, does anyone have any questions? The way that my computer is set up, I have to go and check and see if you guys... Is everything okay? You can see the presentation? Okay, I'm gonna keep going. I hope that everything is... Okay, great. So, talking about how do I know my students' needs? Of course, I'm sure you guys already know this. Observing their language during class and activities and presentations and conversations. One thing I apply in all of my classes, peer and self-help and encouragement. And I say help because you always have those students that like to correct and point the finger, but we are meant to help and encourage each other. So having an environment with positive feedback and encouragement is really important when focusing on grammar, because if a student feels defeated and they feel like they did something wrong, then they're not going to want to try again. For the most part, I know I don't. When somebody says, oh, that's wrong, then especially as I learn Korean, it's very, very frustrating and defeating. So I think it's very important to create an environment where you build the students up and the students build each other up, and helping each other with positive feedback. If you want to give examples or put it on the wall of some nice things they can say to encourage each other, I feel like that is always very, very helpful. Having students do group work or pair work, sharing what they think or what worked for them or different exercises. I always like to, especially older kids, younger kids, group work is difficult. For younger kids, pair work is okay at some times, but specifically for the older kids, I think group work and pair work is really, really helpful. So, as a teacher, do I have needs? Absolutely. You don't just need to adapt your teaching methods for your students' needs. You have needs too. So you are doing so many things at the same time. You are doing all of these things and more. And so that's why I know, I understand, I've been there. Being a teacher is a big task. It's very rewarding, but there are lots of things. So it's also remember to be a student that it's okay to make mistakes. We just keep moving on and we keep learning from those mistakes. Yes, we are continuously learning. Be kind to yourself. Mistakes help us learn. Be open to growth, and then your students will be too. And this is one that I struggle with. Keep it simple. No need to overcomplicate it. You don't need to do 10 games in one class. You don't need to do so many things in one class. If you need to go at a slower pace, if you need to go at a faster pace, be flexible. And I always overcomplicate everything. That's just who I am. So that's something I'm constantly reminding myself. It's okay. Keep it simple. Do what you can for that day. I know we have goals. I know we have lesson plans, but it's important to understand that it's okay. I'm not always going to do everything perfectly. So that's something that I'm still continuously always learning. Another thing, providing context, like photos, real life examples, asking the students if you're talking about a sentence, about a bird, you can talk about, oh, there's a bird outside. Can you see the bird? So just context and photos are really, really helpful as you teach. And the eFuture Teacher's Manual and downloadable resources, it really is a cheat code. Like, it will save you so much. So if you have access to the Teacher's Manual, it always tells you warm-up games and wrap-up games and so many different ways you could do the lesson. So throughout this entire thing, I will be telling you, look at the Teacher's Manual because it tells you so many different things. I'm going to try and go through this quickly because I have so much prepared for today. So when I provide explanations and examples, I think it's really important to have student volunteers. If the teacher is talking the entire time, that's not really as helpful as it could be to the students. If I'm saying, okay, here's the example, or I could have the students work together and I say, oh, come to the class, and they show the example. I, of course, direct them of what I want them to do, but they show the example. Students are going to remember it if their friends are showing the example, not necessarily if the teacher is. I hope that makes sense. And I'll probably mention it again later as well. Yes, let them discover through examples and not just memorizing. If they have a picture in their mind of what the sentence is, that's going to help them so much more than just remembering words. And yeah, same thing like I said before, real world context, relating it to themselves is really going to help them in the long run. And games, of course. And link, review, and recycle. Because the books already do this, they're already reviewing all the time. So, okay. Effective techniques to make grammar fun. We're at the fun part, guys. You made it. So I'm going to show you examples specifically from My First Grammar, Book 1, Lesson 11. That's what I'm going to focus on. So this is My First Grammar. And to help you try and remember, I have a little, I tried to make a little thing to help us remember. So first, My First Grammar, MFG. So it applies to my next grammar as well. But like I said, I'm going to focus on My First Grammar. So first, make it meaningful. Personalization is everything. If the students, if it means something to them, they're not going to forget it. So next, facilitate output. So I say facilitate because the teacher is having the students do activities. You aren't necessarily doing them or showing them. You're having the students do them, and the students are talking. So less focus on the teacher, more focus on the students. The students are talking, the students are showing examples to each other, they're showing examples to the class, and the teacher is facilitating, but maybe not as much talking. Next, games and activities. Happy children, happy learning environment. I think that kind of speaks for itself. So first, make it meaningful. It's important to know your class, how they learn. So how you teach should match how they learn. So first, acting it out. So having the students use hand motions, pointing to things in the classroom, talking about, oh, can you find yellow? There's yellow. So just having them use their body, especially for the younger kids. Even in grammar, you can do this with literally anything. With the phonics series, you could do it with the readers if you wanted to. You could do it with the grammar, anything. It's important to have them act it out. Recycling, they're doing it again, but in different ways. They're making songs and chants. They're making a new story with the same grammar targets. And I will show you examples of this afterwards. Showing media, pictures, videos, visuals, and talking about the book's pictures, showing pictures of things that they like, using real life examples, relating it to what they know. So if you have a sentence in the book and you take the name out and you put their name, they're going to start listening. It captures their attention. And talking about things in the classroom, so real life things that they can see in the moment, putting that into the story as well. And creating together. They can create sentences, create pictures. There are so many different ways that you can make it meaningful. So in the next slide, oh yeah, what do they like? What do they know? Put it in the lesson. So on this slide here, make it meaningful. So I'm going to show you how I like to make it meaningful. So for example, on lesson 11, we have the look and learn portion. It's a chart, but I would read it together with the students and I would make it personal. I would ask, do you like cats? Do you like dogs? Or if they don't like either, do you like rabbits? Let's make a cat or a dog with our fingers. So this can be our little cat, okay? And then, so first I would read together, look at the cat. It's in the box. Look at the cat. It's on the box. Then we make it personal, number 2. Then, going to number 3, we're going to read it again and act it out with our fingers. So this can be my dog or my cat or rabbit, I don't know. So then I would have them use their fingers to act it out. So for example, this is our table. I would say like, so first, look at the cat. It's in the box. So I could have them try and put it in a backpack, put their cat in a backpack, or make their hands like this. It's in the box, right? And then next, we have look at the cat. It's on the box. Put it on the table. If you don't have a box, you can just use the table. And then next, look at the cat. It's under the box. Oh, put your cat under the table. So I would have them act it out with their fingers. Then you can make it into a chant or a song. So do it again. Look at the cat. It's on the box. I'm not a singer. I'm sorry. So, yeah. So then you can do that same thing. Read it again, but in a song. And then you could make it a game and see if they can do it just by listening. So, for example, I would say, it's on the box, it's under the box, it's in the box, and they have to try and follow and do it, and if they do the wrong one, oh, you're out of the game. So, I don't know if you know the Simon Says game. You could do, it's on the head, it's under the head, it's, I don't know. But you could just turn it into a game like that. And then you could do it again. So here we're reading it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. You could do it again with objects. You could use a pencil, a eraser, using a box, a doll. So there are so many ways to expand and make even this chart fun for students. And it's meaningful. They're not going to forget how they put the cat on the head. Yeah, and you don't really need any additional objects unless you want to use them. You could just use hands. So another way to make it meaningful, in the My First Grammar book, there are always this page. So there are 2. So there are 2 look and find sections in each student book. And it's every 10 lessons. It's like a fun review. The students read the sentence and they find the picture. So first it says, the snakes are in the tent. And it's using the things that they learned. They learned about in, on, under. And this serves as a review because the sentence talks about the snakes are in the tent. So this is very meaningful for the students because they could spend hours just trying to find the pictures. And it's fun, it's entertaining for them. So this is an example of how eFuture books automatically make it meaningful for the students, just because of the fun pictures and animations and things that the students won't forget. So yes, 2 in every book. In the middle and at the end, you'll see this. So next, I want to go to facilitating output, but does anyone have any questions? Are we okay? I'm checking the chat to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Okay, I'm gonna keep going because I know we're running short on time. So, facilitating output, like I said, you are putting the students in groups or partners. The teacher is speaking less and the students are speaking more. Students can learn and remember things when they hear it from their peers. So you could have them do it in partners. They can help each other, play teacher. They can make anything into a game with rock, scissors, paper, or paper, rock, scissors. It's different in every country I've gone to. They either say rock, scissors, paper, rock. I don't know. But you understand what I mean. And students can alternate partners. They can mingle, talk to this friend, talk to that friend. And then groups, you could have it 3 or 4 students or half the class groups. This half is the blue team. This half is the pink team. Let's read it and see who can read the nicest. I don't know, the loudest, the silliest. I don't know. But you understand the idea. So team colors, board games, or ball passing games. You have the ball and pass it. Doing presentations, and like I said before, mingling. They can fill in the blank or do survey or play on the head game. I'm going to show you on the head game a little bit later. But this is an example of how I would facilitate output. So this portion here, look and say, we have many sentences. So I would read it with the students or sing or chant with the students. Look at the rabbit. It's under the tree. Then talk about the picture, making it meaningful. Do you like rabbits? Oh, I like rabbits. Do you like snakes? I don't like snakes. Or where is the rabbit? Oh, it's under the tree. So talking about it, making it meaningful. Then I would try and make a spinner game. So all you really need, like this, all you really need is a pencil, a paper clip, and a piece of paper. Students can just draw a circle on a piece of paper. And here I wrote the nouns from the story. I wrote it here on a paper. So I have bike, bear, rabbit, snakes. And the students, like I had before, they spin the paper clip. Oh, it's on ducks. So I have to read the sentence or look at the picture and talk about the ducks. So here's the ducks, number 4. Okay, look at the ducks. They're on the bike. So this is making the students speak. They have to say the sentence when it lands on the word that the paper clip is pointing towards. So that's one way. I would do that with a partner. And I would just walk around the classroom as the students are doing it, making sure that they're saying the sentences. But first I would have 2 sentences or 2 students show an example of how to do it. And then the students can do it on their own. And I would walk around and facilitate and making sure that everyone is saying the sentences. Okay, so next we're going to go to games and activities. The time is going by so fast. So you can use things you already have in the classroom. You don't need anything really fancy. I loved how Isabella, I saw how she had the cards and the cups, and I don't know what that activity was about, but I thought that's a really good idea. I think I want to try and do an activity with cards and cups now. But you can use, or flashcards. You can use so many different things. So with most eFuture books, there are flashcards. With our grammar series, there are not flashcards, but you can always make flashcards depending on what you want to use. And I have an example of that later. But yeah, you can use dice and paper, pencils, balls, erasers, bells, so many different things. So, of course, hands-on games. For the younger kids, anything can be a game. Like, even if I remember, I would always tell my little kindergarten students, like, let's play a pickup game, a cleaning game. Who can do it the fastest? You know, anything is a game for them. So I feel like the best way to engage students is games and activities. It automatically motivates them and makes them excited. If you say, okay, let's do grammar, they're going to, okay, let's do a game about grammar. Then they'll be more excited. Presentations, of course, it's important that the teacher demonstrates what's to be expected, but student helpers and student examples is going to be very, very beneficial for them. And then art. You can have them draw pictures of the sentences that they're working on, play Pictionary games. They can draw their own pictures and explain it. And one thing that I like to do, if I don't have flashcards, if I don't have pictures, the students can create it. I mean, students never say no to drawing. I feel like that's one thing I love about students is their imagination and their, of course, not all students enjoy it, but I feel like if you have them prepare some materials, if you have some time, then that's always helpful as well. Okay, I think I might skip through this page a little bit because I'm running out of time. But basically, the game I had for this one is I have the students create the sentences, but they are doing rock, scissors, paper to make the sentence with a partner. So I want girl and you want cat. We do rock, scissors, paper. You win. We're going to do the cat. So, or you can do dice. Each picture is a number or a letter. You roll the dice. Oh, we have the number 5. We have to use snake and we have to use sock. So that's just an example I have for this portion. But this is the look and practice page. And that's just one game idea I have for this page. I'm going to go through it pretty fast because time is going by so quickly. For this game, on our YouTube, we have an example called Slam, and it kind of looks like this. So she's using some phonics flashcards. And I think I saw Isabella had the Slam game, a picture in one of her photos. I saw that as well. So they put their hands on their head and they say the sound or the word, and when they hear it, they have to hit it. So for this page, they're hitting the sound. So for this page, I would have the students do it in partners. And at first, the teacher can read the sentence, and the students have to touch the picture. So I wouldn't necessarily for this, you can use a fly swatter or their hands, but students can get it can get dangerous. So it's important to watch for this activity. But I would have, okay. So first I would say, look at the mice. They are on the car and the students have to touch it. Look at the duck. It is in the pond. They have to touch it. So they could do it with a partner. They could do it by themselves with their own book. And then the students are the teacher and they say it to each other. One student says it, one student touches it. One student says it, one student touches it. So that's just one activity. One activity idea I had for this page. I'm going to take a sip of water. Sorry, all this talking. So you don't really need any material, just using your hands. Okay, so the next portion is another game. So as you can see, I have so many games prepared for this particular lesson, but you don't need to do all of these games. Just one or two is helpful. I don't know what's happening. Okay, is everyone doing okay? I'm gonna, yes, okay, great. Thank you so much. So we're going to try and finish without me coughing. That's my goal for the rest of this. So for this next activity, it's a lot of sentence and sentence creation. And in my next grammar, there are a lot of sentences. So it might be tempting just to have the students write in the book, but I think it's very important, any of the sentence activities, turn it into a game. Specifically this game, I play the music, the students pass the ball, and then I would play the music quietly so you can hear them say the sentence. But they're passing the ball, and every time they pass, they have to say the sentence. Look at the snakes. Look at the snakes. So they're all saying the same sentence and passing the ball, and when the music stops, oh, you're out. But of course, I want them to keep going, so maybe they might get a point or something. And then, so every time they pass, they have to say the sentence. So that's one game I like to do, to have them practicing and saying sentences again and again. Yeah, and then they would complete it in their book as well. So yeah, you would need a ball, or you can just take a piece of paper and crumple it and have them use that. So if you want more game ideas, we have so many game ideas on our YouTube. So this game is called On the Head. It's flashcards, and of course they go over the words, and then they're going to put one on their head, and she has to guess. She has 4 guesses. Is it black? Is it green? Is it yellow? Yay, it's yellow! So that's some flashcard ideas. For the grammar series, I'm going to show you on the next slide here. So on this slide, there are pictures. So for the first half, I would have the students read it with their team colors. So there's the blue color and the red color, and they have to read the sentence. Who can do it the nicest or the loudest, and then they change colors. But for the next portion, where you see here, it says look and write, not read and write, this look and write portion, there are pictures and sentences. So I would have the students, like I said before, create their own material. They would draw a frog on the front and the sentence on the back. They are frogs. So for example, they have to put the picture on their head, and maybe it's the frog, and their friend has to, it can be the friend or it can be the person who's holding it on their head. They have to try and remember what the sentence is. So, or they don't even need to put it on their head. They could just play like memory style game and try and flip it over. So there are many different ways that you could do activities. And you can see at the very bottom of this page, link and review, you can see 4 teachers. It shows the question. It shows the lesson that it came from. So again, it is reviewing and linking everything that they had learned before. Okay, so those are just some game ideas I had. I need to try and keep moving because time is gone. So I talked to you a lot about My First Grammar today. We have the student book, the workbook, and the teacher's manual. In My Next Grammar, it's very, very similar. We have the student book, the workbook, and the teacher's manual. In the student book, you can see in the contents, it says test, midterm test, final test. So these are practice tests, and we have downloadable tests that you can give to the students. But this is already in the book that the students can practice with. And then here, I already showed you a little bit, but the lesson, there's a grammar chart. and a grammar chart in context, activities. There's a game right here for look and practice. We have practice in context, activities, link and review. So that's what the student book looks like for my first grammar. Yes. It's the same in every unit, and it's easy for teachers to use and predict. So look and learn, look and say, look and practice, link and review, and then they do it again. Yes, and I already told you here is the link and review. It's going to show you exactly where they learned it. So, for example, this is lesson 12 after the one that I showed you. And in the link and review portion, you can see the rabbit is in the basket. The watch is under the book. So they are learning again in Unit 12 what they learned in Unit 11. And that's really important. So the workbook is very similar to the student book. It goes along with it. It goes alongside. You can use it as independent work, group work, partner work, homework. With any of the games and activities I said, it's really up to you how you want to use the workbook, but it goes along with the student book. It expands. And the workbook has grammar chart, grammar explanation, practice, more activities. That's what the workbook looks like. So talking about my next grammar, you're going to see a lot more charts, a lot more sentences, a lot more expanding of the grammar usages and targets and things like that. So we have downloadable lesson tests and midterm tests and final tests. So this is what it looks like. This is lesson 1. You're going to see we have, instead of 4 sections, we have 3. We have grammar introduction, grammar practice, and grammar in context. So for grammar introduction, we have a lot more charts, and we have a lot more activities and things and sentences. They can do role playing here. We have examples here. And then grammar chart, activity, more grammar charts, another activity, so many different activities. And then here in the grammar practice, there are a lot more sentences. Because, of course, this is for higher level students and older students. So there are a lot more sentences. But again, even with the sentences, you can play a game. You can do the ball passing game. You can have them write it on a piece of paper and do really so many different things with the game. It doesn't have to be just writing. It's still important to make it meaningful and personable for them. So sentence practice activities and grammar context. And then there's a fill in the blank story and picture, which is really cute. So the workbook, how do I go back? So the workbook for my next grammar, again, goes along with the student book. It just expands and gives even more context, even more activities for the students to do. So again, you can use it in the classroom. You can use it as homework. It's really up to you as the teacher, because again, you know the students and the lesson flow and what the students need. You know best. So it's really up to you how you want to use the materials that we have. And we have lesson plans and more additional resources. If you look at our website, eFuture, here, you can download all of these things. So there's lesson plans and so many different things. And it's free for eFuture teachers. And then we also have the teacher's manual. And I'm trying to go through this quickly, but we have so many things on the teacher's manual. Activity sheets, midterm, final tests, the look and find game ideas. I showed you this look and find thing earlier, but it shows you how you can do games with that as well. We have grammar charts, warm-up activities, wrap-up activities, lesson tests, workbook answers. It's really the cheat sheet for teachers. So if you haven't checked out any of the teacher's manuals, eFuture tries to help you as much as we can. So please check out teacher's manuals, the phonics series, the grammar series, all of them. We also our ebook. If you look at our YouTube, the eSmart class tells you how to make a class if you don't have one, and how to use the ebook. It's really, really helpful because there are so many functions and even games and flashcards and so many different things on the ebook that will really help you. So if you haven't seen this video of how to make an eSmart class, please check it out. Here's our YouTube, and here is the name of what the video is. And thank you guys so much for your time, your attention. I hope you learned something. I know it was really rushed at the end, but I really appreciate your time. Does anybody have any questions? I have like 1 minute, but does anybody have? Thank you guys. Does anybody have anything else? But if you do, just type in the chat. Thank you. I want to show you really fast. Here is our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I personally try and make a lot of videos for our social media, Instagram and Facebook. So check it out. Make sure to follow us. We try to post fun things. And here's my email, an inquiry@eltkorea.com. If you have any questions that you think of later, please ask us. We love talking to you. So, yeah. Monica, is there anything else that you want me to add?
No, thank you very much. It was a great presentation, and thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Yes.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.